So I started researching, and I took him up on it. It was very difficult for me to do, but I took him up on it. And I started studying hypnotherapy, and I went online, found Bennett Stellar University, and everything has just been happening since then. I went through one process, and I really thought that I was going to become a hypnotherapist to do anesthesia for medical procedures. I still went in there thinking I'm just doing research. Not a practitioner, I'm not a healer, all that stuff, I don't even know. Yeah. Well, while I was studying hypnotherapy, we also studied to become Reiki masters. And I decided, it's just a good thing to put on a resume. Don't really know what all this foo-foo stuff is, but it's just a bunch of foo-foo stuff. I just put it on a resume, I've heard about it. So not really that important. Yeah. So I went through the Reiki master portion of it, and I had also had anxiety from my difficult childhood. My anxiety was so severe. I had gotten to the point where I couldn't even go into a grocery store. My children had to go into the grocery store for me because I couldn't get past being in front of people. I kept thinking that people were judging me, and my anxiety had gotten so bad I couldn't breathe. If I was going to be going into places, I was having panic attacks nonstop. So I went through one process in front of the class, and my lifelong anxiety was gone in one process.
What do you mean by process?
In neuro-linguistic programming, I'm a master neuro-linguistic programmer. In neuro-linguistic programming, what they do is they figure out where you want to be. What is your actual goal? Well, I wanted to get rid of the anxiety. That was what I thought my goal was. Well, that wasn't my goal. My goal was to live peacefully and to be able to calmly deal with issues and to be able to, in a peaceful and reflective way, be able to live my life. That was really my goal. I kept thinking my goal was to get rid of my anxiety. But if I had gotten rid of my anxiety, it never would have brought me to that place. Yeah. So in this process, we found out where that programming took place. Where was I downloaded with that programming of anxiety? This becomes a little bit more complex, because although I was able to, in that process, in timeline, I got up in front of the class, volunteered to get up in front of the class to go through this process. It brought me back to a very traumatic point in my childhood. We changed that up a little bit, changed the programming, and I went around the pathway that kept bringing me back to that moment of where the anxiety started. So for some reason, I kept having this very, very easy pathway back to where the anxiety began. Yeah. Every time I would do something in my present life, in the present, I was accessing a program, just like that. So we download programs that bypass the other programs so that you access a better, healthier program so you can have healthier strategies and live a healthier life. So I don't access that anymore. And even though I know it's there, I can't really access it anymore. That's blocked. It didn't change my memory. It just gave me something new for my mind to access so that I can now do things in a calm, relaxed manner. Like this, I would never be able to do this.
Wow. Because you're a natural, You speak so well and...
Well, thank you.
That's nice.
What I have learned along the way, once that anxiety was out of the way and now I was able to do other things, what I've learned along the way is without that anxiety, I wouldn't have been able to get to this point either. So as I've been reading and studying and recognizing more and more what all of this is about is we take on these contracts, at least this is what I believe and what I feel and what resonates with me now. It resonates with me. I took on a contract of that type of pain. I took on a contract of that type of struggle so that I could move myself through it, either to evolve in a way that I could get closer to God or Source or whatever that was. I'm not real certain. But what it did was allow me to come to a place where I can then explain that to other people. That we take on these contracts so that we can go through this amount of pain or whatever it is. We think that when we're struggling, that it's going to last forever.
Mm.
And yet those struggles, when you look back, it's just a grain of sand on the beach. It's one grain of sand in your shoe. Well, now I think about, if I've got a grain of sand in my shoe, there's a beach somewhere. So I go looking for the beach. It's a sign.
Gorgeous.
So that struggle, now I'm able to tell other people. That and going through the Reiki Master program, I was never able to feel energy. I didn't know what energy was. Everybody was talking about, oh, can you feel the energy in here? And I'm thinking, you need some medication. Okay? Maybe you've got heartburn, perhaps a liver disorder, bipolar, don't know, fibromyalgia. I couldn't feel the energy at all until I met a reconnective healer who did energy work on me, and my entire life just opened up.
Right.
And then I started feeling energy. Then I started recognizing what was going on around me. I'm able to now feel energy, which I would have thought that if someone said this to me a couple of years ago, that I can feel the energy of light. I can feel the energy of other people. I can stand next to them and just literally feel what they're about.
Mm.
And I can feel emotions coming off of other people, which I was never able to feel before. And I was a scientist. I wanted to know, okay, well, what's the story behind this? And that brought me to Bruce Lipton, who I then started studying epigenetics and quantum physics. Mm-hmm. And then went from there to studying Brian Weiss, went from there to studying Michael Newton, and received all of this information. And then I said, well, what am I going to do with this now? I did have my practice as a hypnotherapist, which I have helped people move on to other areas, and now that I'm evolving, I started a television show on a local station to talk about holistic medical practices. And since then, that has evolved into a radio show. And my radio show, called Bringing Home the Beacon,
Yes.
What it's about is all of these things that I'm telling people. I go through struggles in my life. I apply them to the scientific process and the spiritual process behind it. And I share it on the radio. And on the radio, I never really know what I'm going to talk about. I go in that morning and I will talk about something silly. I'll talk about a struggle that I had with my sister and apply that to the spiritual path that I've been on. And everything that I do now is foreshadowing for something else. It's foreshadowing, and I sit back and I think, okay, I know this is important because it made me stop in my tracks. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to tell people is when something makes you stop and take a breath, and it resonates with you, but you're not sure. It's like a book may stand out to you, or someone tells you something several times, or you hear it from several different sources. Those are your signs. You're not going to get a tornado. You're not going to get a flood. You're not going to get someone banging you over the head, or you're not, all of you, are going to get struck by lightning like Tony Secoria. It's going to be something subtle. For most of us, it's something subtle. And that's why I think people are so confused and dazed and confused, just like I am some days, is that we think it's going to be something big.
Yes.
And catastrophic and astronomical, and honestly, it's not. It's the little bit of heartburn that takes you to the emergency room, and you meet someone there that you then find a year from now. Each process is the next step.
Mm.